So today we're going to talk about Newton's laws of motion. So this is the same Isaac Newton that you've heard about before with his whole, the apple fell on him under the tree and suddenly he had a great idea. One thing about these laws of motion, you will not have to know the specific number. You'll never get a test question, what's Newton's first law of motion? You won't have to know the number. What you will have to be able to do is apply the concepts within those laws of motion. So Newton's first law of motion states that every object in motion stays in motion unless another force acts on it. So this is saying that once something's moving, it's going to keep moving at that same speed in that same direction unless something else acts on it. For example, if you throw a football up in the air, it will keep going at the same speed and the same direction as it left your hand until another force acts on it. In this case, usually that force is gravity when you've thrown something up in the air. Some other common forces in addition to gravity include friction. Newton's second law of motion talks about what happens when forces do act on that moving object. And it states that acceleration, the change in the motion, so that's what acceleration is, the change in motion of an object will be in the same direction as it was forced. So again, it's going to keep moving. Newton's first law is going to keep moving in that same speed and direction as you put it unless you change it. If you apply a force to it, the direction of motion will change, the acceleration will change in the direction of that force you applied. For example, the roller skate was sitting still, you pushed it in this direction, so it accelerated in this direction. It was positive acceleration because the speed was increasing, the velocity was increasing. Then friction got a hold of it and pushed it, was forcing it in the opposite direction, so it was negatively accelerating or slowing down. And the big one that I'm sure you all have heard before is Newton's third law of motion, which states that for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. A really good example of this is you sitting in a chair. You apply X amount of force down towards the ground. That chair is going to be pushing you back up in an equal and opposite force. So if you apply X force down, the chair applies X force up, allowing you to sit without continuing to fall towards the ground. If the chair applied a force that was less than you were applying to it, obviously the chair would not hold, you would fall to the ground until now it became the ground holding you up with X force as you were pushing down with X force onto the ground.